Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring philosophy, mythology, and cosmology.
Oh, wow.
All thanks to the awesome sources that you sent in.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we've got excerpts from Plutarch explorations of pre-Socratic thought, and even some modern theories that really challenge our understanding of the universe.
You said it.
It's going to be quite a journey.
Yeah, you've given us a real mix here.
Right.
From ancient texts to modern scientific papers. And they all point to this, enduring human fascination with understanding, our place in the cosmos.
Exactly, and it seems like whether we're talking about ancient myths or these modern scientific theories, we're always trying to find those underlying patterns, those hidden connections that might explain how the universe works.
Absolutely.
So where do we even begin with a collection this diverse?
Well, perhaps the best place to start is with how humans first began to grapple with these big questions, long before the development of formal philosophical systems.
You mean like back in the cave painting days?
Yeah, precisely. Think about it. You look up at the night sky. You experience the cycles of day and night, the seasons changing life and death all around you.
Yeah.
These early humans were trying to make sense of it all, and mythology provided a framework for understanding the unexplainable.
So those ancient myths weren't just stories.
Right.
They were attempts to find order and meaning in the chaos.
Exactly. They were ways of explaining the universe and humanity's place within it.
Wow.
And it's fascinating how those early mythological explanations actually laid the groundwork for later philosophical thought.
So as philosophy evolved, it still carried echoes of those ancient myths.
Absolutely. Take the pre-Socratic philosophers, for example.
Okay.
They were wrestling with questions about the fundamental nature of reality. What is the universe made of? Where did it come from? What is the first principle of everything? They were searching for that unifying force behind the universe, a concept that you can trace right back to those early creation myths.
Makes sense. You got Thales thinking everything comes from water and Anaximander, proposing this boundless apparent.
Right.
They were all searching for that one fundamental element.
Exactly. And while their specific answers might seem a bit simplistic to us now,
Sure.
their line of questioning that desire to find a unifying principle behind the complexity of the universe is a theme that continues to resonate throughout the history of philosophy.
It's amazing how these huge questions just keep coming back, no matter how much our scientific knowledge evolves.
It really is.
It's incredible.
And it's not just about finding answers. It's about the process of questioning, of challenging assumptions, of constantly refining our understanding of the world.
Okay.
Which brings us to a group of philosophers who really embodied that spirit of questioning the Cynics.
The Cynics. Now, didn't they have a bit of a reputation for being cynical?
Yeah.
Like always pointing out the flaws in everything?
Well, the term cynic has taken on a somewhat negative connotation over the years.
Right.
But the Cynics, especially someone like Antisthenes, were really advocating for a life of virtue and simplicity, free from the trappings of material wealth and social status.
So they weren't just being grumpy. They were making a statement about what truly matters in life.
Exactly. They believed in living in accordance with nature, rejecting artificial desires, and finding happiness and self-sufficiency. It's actually a philosophy that's resonating with a lot of people today.
Yeah.
With the rise of minimalism and the focus on intentional living.
I can definitely see the connection.
Right.
It's like stripping away all the excess to focus on what truly matters.
And what's fascinating is that this ancient school of thought, often viewed as being on the fringes, actually had a significant influence on later philosophical movements.
You mean like how the Cynics' emphasis on reason and virtue paved the way for things like humanism and rationalism?
Precisely. It's a great example of how ideas can travel through time, influencing and shaping intellectual currents centuries later.
Wow.
And you provided a source that specifically highlights Francis Bacon,
Okay.
the 16th century philosopher and scientist, as someone who was deeply influenced by ancient thought, including the Cynics. It just goes to show how connected these ideas really are across vast stretches of time.
It's like those ancient philosophers were planting seeds that would continue to grow and blossom for centuries to come.
A great analogy.
And those seeds led to some pretty radical shifts in our understanding of the universe itself, especially when it comes to how we view our place within the cosmos.
Absolutely.
So we've gone from ancient myths to pre-Socratic thought, and now we're talking about the Cynics.
Right.
Where does our understanding of the universe itself fit into all of this?
That's a great question, and it leads us to a pretty pivotal shift in how humanity viewed its place in the cosmos.
Okay.
You've given us some fascinating material about Ptolemy's Tetrabiblos, which laid out his geocentric model of the universe.
Geocentric meaning Earth at the center of it all.
Exactly. For centuries, this Earth-centered view dominated Western thought, influencing everything from astrological interpretations to our basic understanding of where we fit in the grand scheme of things.
I can only imagine how revolutionary it must have been to challenge that geocentric model.
Yeah.
Was it Copernicus who first proposed that the sun was actually at the center?
Copernicus was certainly a key figure in that shift towards a heliocentric model. His work, building upon earlier ideas, really started to challenge the long-held belief that Earth was the center of everything.
And didn't Galileo get into some hot water for supporting the heliocentric idea?
He certainly faced opposition, yes. But more than the historical controversy, what's fascinating is the monumental change in human perspective.
Yeah.
Imagine the world realizing that their entire understanding of the universe was essentially turned inside out.
Talk about a mind-blowing moment.
Right.
So we went from Earth at the center to the sun at the center.
Yeah.
That's the model we still hold today, right?
Well, our understanding of the universe has continued to evolve, and it's become even more complex and mysterious.
Right.
For example, you included some research on black holes.
Yeah.
Regions of space-time where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape.
Black holes are still mind-boggling to me, even though we've learned so much about them. It's like they bend the rules of physics as we know them.
They are one of the most perplexing phenomena in the universe, for sure. And speaking of challenging assumptions, you also sent us some work by Halton Arp, an astronomer who questioned the standard interpretations of redshift and galactic distances.
Now, to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on redshift. Could you explain that a bit?
Of course, redshift is a phenomenon where light from distant galaxies appears shifted towards the red end of the spectrum.
Okay.
It's generally interpreted as evidence that these galaxies are moving away from us, and the greater the redshift, the faster they're moving.
Okay.
This is one of the key pieces of evidence supporting the idea that the universe is expanding.
Okay, that makes sense. So where does Halton Arp fit into all of this?
Arp's research challenged some of the fundamental assumptions about redshift and how we measure the distances of galaxies.
Interesting.
While his work is considered controversial, it raises some thought-provoking questions about our current understanding of the universe and how much we really know.
So even with all our modern telescopes and sophisticated theories, there's still a lot we don't know about the universe.
Absolutely, and that's what makes the study of cosmology so fascinating.
Yeah.
We're constantly refining our models, pushing the boundaries of our knowledge, and discovering new mysteries. And speaking of mysteries, your sources also included some information on a rather intriguing mathematical formula, Bode's Law.
Bode's Law, that rings a bell. It has something to do with the planets, right?
Yes. Bode's Law describes the distances between planets in our solar system with remarkable accuracy. It was developed by Johann Daniel Titius and Johann Elert Bode. And what's truly amazing is that it predicted the existence of planets before they were even discovered.
Whoa. So they essentially had a mathematical formula that said, hey, there should be a planet right here. And then, bam, a planet was discovered in that exact spot.
Precisely. Bode's law, although not a perfect law, suggests that there's a certain order, a hidden pattern in the arrangement of planets in our solar system.
That's pretty amazing.
It makes you wonder what other hidden patterns are out there waiting to be discovered.
That's a great question. And speaking of hidden patterns, you also included some research on something called Earth's hum.
Right.
That sounds intriguing.
It is. It's this faint, persistent vibration that scientists have been trying to understand for decades. It's almost like the Earth is constantly humming this low-frequency note that we can't hear with our ears.
So what could be causing this hum? Do scientists have any theories?
There are many theories, but the exact cause is still a mystery.
Okay.
Some scientists think it's related to ocean waves, while others suggest it might be caused by atmospheric turbulence or even interactions between the Earth's crust and the molten core.
So it's like a planetary mystery soundtrack playing in the background all the time.
Yeah.
And what connects this to Bode's law, you said, is the idea of unseen forces shaping our reality.
Exactly. Bode's law suggests a hidden mathematical pattern in the arrangement of planets, while Earth's hum points to unseen vibrations permeating our planet. It makes you wonder what other hidden harmonies and forces might be at play shaping the universe on both grand and subtle scales.
And you know, when you think about it, that idea of unseen forces shaping reality, isn't that far removed from what those ancient philosophers were grappling with.
You're right. It's almost as if we've come full circle from myth to science and back again, always searching for those underlying principles that govern the universe.
It's like we're constantly refining our understanding, but the fundamental questions remain the same.
Right.
We're still searching for that cosmic code, that unifying force behind it all.
And that pursuit leads us to some rather fascinating theories about how vibration and resonance might play a key role in shaping the universe from the largest structures down to the tiniest particles.
You mean like how a specific musical note can shatter a glass? Is that what resonance is all about?
That's a great example of resonance. It's the idea that different frequencies can influence objects and systems in profound ways. And you've given us some material on a particularly intriguing example of this, spectrochrome therapy.
Spectrochrome therapy. Now, that one sounds a bit out there.
It does have a somewhat controversial history.
Okay.
It was developed by Gadiali in the early 20th century, and it involved using different colored lights to treat various ailments.
So if I had a headache,
Yeah.
would shining a specific color of light on me actually help?
That was the basic idea behind spectrochrome therapy.
Wow.
Gadiali believed that different colors vibrated at different frequencies, and that these vibrations could influence the human body, promoting healing and balance.
So even though spectrochrome might not have stood the test of scientific scrutiny, the underlying concept of resonance, that different frequencies can impact living organisms, is still worth exploring.
Absolutely. We see examples of resonance all around us, from the way musical instruments create sound to the way radio waves transmit information.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to consider how these principles might apply to more complex systems like the human body or even the Earth itself.
That's a great point. We've been talking about Earth's hum, these unseen vibrations permeating our planet.
Right.
Could there be a connection between those vibrations and our health and well-being?
That's a question scientists are still exploring. There's growing interest in the field of bioacoustics and the potential for sound and vibration to influence biological processes.
So this idea of resonance might be a key to understanding not just the physical universe, but also the mysteries of life itself.
It's certainly a compelling idea. And speaking of hidden connections and patterns, you also included some fascinating research on the recurring significance of a particular number, the number 7.
Number 7. Like lucky number 7. I'm curious to hear where this is going.
Well, you might be surprised how often the number 7 appears in various cultural traditions and fields of study.
Okay.
You have the 7 chakras in Eastern thought, the 7 classical planets in astrology, the 7 days of the week. It seems to pop up everywhere.
You're absolutely right. I've never really thought about it before.
Yeah.
But the number 7 is everywhere. So is there some deeper meaning behind this? Or is it just a coincidence?
Some believe it's more than just coincidence.
Okay.
The concept of the septenary principle suggests that this recurring pattern points to an underlying structure, a fundamental harmony embedded in the fabric of reality.
So not just lucky number 7, but a number potentially encoded with some deep cosmic significance.
Exactly. And this idea of hidden patterns and connections brings us back to our central theme, the human quest to understand the universe and our place within it.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about ancient myths, philosophical inquiries, or modern scientific theories, it seems we're always searching for those underlying principles, those unifying forces that tie it all together.
And it's not just about finding the answers, is it? It's about the journey of exploration, the constant questioning and refinement of our understanding.
Precisely. And that brings us to a discussion of different philosophical approaches to knowledge, empiricism, idealism, and realism. Each offers a unique lens through which to view the world and search for truth.
Okay, let's break those down a bit. Empiricism is all about observation and experimentation.
Yeah.
Right? Like trusting what you can see and measure.
Exactly. Empiricists believe that knowledge comes primarily from sensory experience and evidence gathered through observation and experimentation.
And what about idealism? Isn't that the idea that the world is basically a projection of our minds?
That's a simplified way of putting it.
Okay.
But essentially, idealism places emphasis on the mind and ideas as the primary reality. It suggests that our perception of the world is shaped by our thoughts and concepts.
And then there's realism, which I guess is the idea that there's an objective reality out there independent of our minds.
Precisely. Realists believe that there's a world that exists outside of our perceptions and interpretations, and that we can gain knowledge of this world through observation and reason.
So we have these 3 different philosophical frameworks for understanding the nature of reality and knowledge. But when we're dealing with ancient texts and symbols, isn't there a risk of misinterpreting things? Like maybe we're reading too much into those ancient myths and patterns.
It's a valid concern, and it highlights the importance of critical thinking and careful interpretation.
Yeah.
We have to be aware of our own biases and preconceptions when we approach these ancient sources.
And even when it comes to modern science, there's always the possibility of new discoveries challenging our current understanding, right?
Absolutely, and you provided a perfect example of that with the concept of gravistars.
Gravistars, I've never heard of those.
They're a relatively new theoretical concept that challenges our understanding of black holes.
Okay.
While the traditional view of a black hole is a region of space-time with infinite density at its center,
Yeah.
the gravistar model suggests that the core of a black hole might actually be a supercompact, ultra-dense object made of exotic matter.
So instead of a point of singularity, there's this ultra-dense star at the heart of a black hole.
That's the idea. It's still a theoretical concept, but it highlights how our understanding of even the most extreme phenomena in the universe is constantly evolving, and it reminds us that even our most established scientific theories are open to revision and reinterpretation as new evidence emerges.
It's kind of humbling to realize how much we still don't know, even with all the advances in science and technology.
It is, but that sense of wonder and the constant pursuit of knowledge is what makes this exploration so fascinating.
Right.
We're always uncovering new layers of understanding, peeling back the onion of reality and discovering new mysteries along the way.
It really is amazing to think about how all these ideas are connected in some way.
It is.
From ancient myths to modern scientific theories.
Right.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, it's hard to keep track of it all. But it seems like this concept of resonance keeps coming back. Those hidden vibrations shaping the universe on scales both large and small.
Yeah, it's a thread that runs through many of the sources you provided, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Whether it's Bode's law, hinting at an underlying harmony in the arrangement of planets, Earth's hum, suggesting a constant symphony of vibrations permeating our planet,
Right.
or even the more fringe ideas of spectrochrome therapy, there's this persistent fascination with how unseen forces can shape our reality.
And it makes you wonder, if these unseen forces are at play, what other connections might we be missing? What other mysteries are out there just waiting to be uncovered?
That's the beauty of scientific inquiry and philosophical exploration. It's a never-ending journey of discovery. The more we learn, the more we realize how much we still don't know.
It's true.
And each new discovery opens up new avenues for exploration, new questions to ponder.
It's almost like those ancient myths were onto something, even if their explanations were different from our modern scientific understanding.
Right.
Maybe the universe really is a grand symphony of vibrations, a cosmic dance of energy and matter.
It's a beautiful analogy, and while we might never fully grasp the intricacies of that cosmic dance, the pursuit of understanding, the constant striving to uncover those hidden patterns and connections is what makes this journey so enriching.
Well, I know I've learned a lot from this deep dive. It's incredible how you've managed to weave together so many different ideas from ancient philosophy to modern cosmology and reveal those underlying connections.
It's been a pleasure exploring these sources with you, and remember, this is just a starting point.
Right.
Each of these topics has a rich history and offers endless possibilities for further exploration.
Exactly. So for you listening out there, if something sparked your curiosity today, don't be afraid to dive deeper, to follow those threads of inquiry and see where they lead you.
Yeah.
Who knows what amazing discoveries await?
Keep asking those big questions, keep searching for those hidden connections, and most importantly, never lose that sense of wonder and awe.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.